Here I've got a few tabs open. As you see, program.cs is the active tab. Let's say we want to open sample.cs tab. I've seen a lot of developers use the mouse to change tabs here. But again, as a programmer, you should rely on your keyboard. The less you switch between the keyboard and the mouse, the faster you'll be at coding. So how can we switch to sample.cs tab here without touching the mouse? Just press Ctrl and Tab to cycle through the open windows, like this. Or you can press Ctrl, Shift, and Tab to go backward. Here is another way to do this. You can press Ctrl and F6 to go to the next tab. Or Ctrl, Shift, and F6 to go to the previous tab. Isn't that great? It's much easier and faster than using the mouse. Now let's look at some ways to close tabs. If you want to close the current tab, press Ctrl and F4. It's gone. See? Let me share another technique with you that's going to increase your productivity significantly. When I work, I always focus on only one task at a time. Each task is a small piece of work that I can finish within 40 minutes or less. That usually requires very few files or tabs to have open in Visual Studio. There are a couple of great benefits to this. First, it helps you get focus by reducing distractions. You should only have the files open that you really need to work on. The second benefit is that it makes it easier to switch between tabs. Imagine if you had 10 or more tabs open here. Every time you press Ctrl and Tab, you see lots of items to cycle through. This wastes a lot of time and energy. So I highly recommend you to have only very few tabs open that you really need. After you finish each task, clean up your workspace by closing all the open tabs. A fast way to do this is to press Alt, W, and L. Now you may ask, how can I open files for my next task without going to Solution Explorer? The answer is to press Ctrl and comma. This brings up the Navigate dialog, which is extremely helpful. With this dialog, you can type the name of a file, a class, or even a method, and quickly open that in Visual Studio. There is no need to grab the mouse and open the file via Solution Explorer. Let me type method2 here. As you see, it shows all the places where I have a method by the name of method2. Now we can hit the Tab key to move focus to the results and then use up and down arrows to select an item. Then we press Enter and there you go. Visual Studio opened the file and even put the cursor right at the beginning of the method. Let's open the Navigate dialog again. So I press Ctrl and comma. But this time I type program. As you see, we have two items in the results. The first one represents the class, while the second one represents the actual file. Isn't that great? Imagine how much time you would waste if you had to use the mouse to expand and collapse folders in the Solution Explorer to find a file. Especially the larger your project, the harder it gets to find a file in Solution Explorer. As you saw, if you know the name of a file, it's much faster to look it up here. So next time you switch the mouse to open a file via Solution Explorer or close a tab, remember that you can do the same with keyboard and save yourself lots of time. And here's one more trick for this lecture. You're gonna love this. Press Shift, Alt, and Enter. This takes you to the full screen view of the current tab. It's much easier to focus on this tab without any distractions. To exit the full screen view, just use the same shortcut. Shift, Alt, and Enter. So let's recap. Use Ctrl and Tab to cycle through the open tabs. You can use Ctrl, Shift, and Tab to do a reverse cycle. Use Ctrl and F6 to go to the next tab, or Ctrl, Shift, and F6 to go to the previous tab. Use Ctrl and F4 to close a tab. After you finish a task, clean up your workspace by closing all open windows. You can do this by pressing Alt, W, and L. Press Ctrl and comma to open the Navigate dialog. You can find a file, a class, or a method here much faster. And finally, use Shift, Alt, and Enter to go to the full screen view or get out of it. I hope you enjoyed this lecture.